Mike Tyson.
Greetings, fellow armchair Imagineers. Blue Dragon 5 here, with a simply scintillating installment of Disney Debates Best of the Decade. That's right, folks. Tonight we're starting 2020 off right by reflecting on a decade in Disney, as in Best Disney Movie of the Decade, Best Disney Song of the Decade, and Best Disney Attraction, you guessed it, of the decade. Essentially a greatest hits of the 2010s, let's call it. Well, let's not stand in the way of progress any further. Ladies and gentlemen, please board your ride vehicles as we make our way to the arena. Ladies and gentlemen, tonight's fight is a special engagement, a real David and Goliath, or a Rocky in January, take your pick. Champ versus challenger. Let's make the introductions. In this corner, the champion. Think less Muhammad Ali, more Prince Ali. Give it up for Bob Iger's worst nightmare. It's Tiki!
I don't know what to tell you, Adrian. I gotta do what I gotta do. If he wants to fight me on the Mars, I'm gonna be there.
And
Obscure Family Guy reference there.
And in the opposing corner, the challenger. A strong advocate who hails from the House of Mouse. Give it up for the contender, Mickey Fan!
I beat Tiki Man. My Rocky references are very small.
And with me, my co-pilots and co-hosts, Sandy Claus and Jacob Wilde.
Yo.
Hey, howdy, hey. Tom Hanks reference.
Okay.
There's a snake in my boot.
All right. Let's get this wagon train moving here. So, guys, how are we doing tonight?
I'm doing good. I'm really excited about this. Of course, Mickey Fan has been with us since the ye olde VF days of So You Want to Be an Imagineer, before there was even a podcast attached to the brand. So, Mickey Fan, it's safe to say at this point, like in terms of like the canon of So You Want to Be an Imagineer, you're sort of the legacy player here.
Yeah, but started very, very young, not having any clue what I was doing. Still probably don't know how much I'm doing right now, but we're getting there.
All right. So, yeah, I'm excited for this. It's a good matchup. It's a good lineup of questions. And Dragon, it's the first time that we're able to try something new here. What is that?
Well, folks, call us crazy, call us ambitious, call us a fan of trios. We're going to try to do a three-judge system, a three-point judge system this fine evening. And, of course, as you've noticed with my co-hosts, co-judges, guys who have a perpetuance to wear robes from time to time, three of us... we're going to be casting our points. We're going to, I don't want to bore with like the nitty gritty like a dealer button, but the point being we're going to shake it up each round and kind of go forward and kind of as we deliberate, everyone's going to be getting a point here. Decide who gets the point of the rounds. Like, for example, it might go like, it'll go to me, then Sandy, then Jacob. We'll each kind of view like, as if like the judges at the Olympics. We're going to hold them up like a point, like who gets the point. I'll go from me to Sandy to Jake, and we're going to shake it up a little while. Let me.
You, Jacob, Sandy. It's alphabetical, Dragon.
Well, I know that. I'm saying it's going to be after that. It'll be yes.
All right. Anyway, sorry.
Okay, my point. So let's just let's go over a little refresher on the rules because we do have a new player amongst us here.
Also, really quick before we get into refresher, just welcoming in Donovan Martin and Pink Pearl Apple into the chat, guys. How you guys doing? Happy to have you. They're talking about how shocked they were that Frozen 2 got snubbed.
I mean, it
Frozen 2 got snubbed. Shocked.
I'm kind of relieved. Please don't hit me.
Pink Pearl says, I'm sad Frozen 2 was snubbed too. Sandy, I reserve the right to not voice my opinions on Frozen 2 right now, but I will say that everyone can agree that Klaus was a worthy nomination, and I'm glad that Klaus got in.
I would not be shocked to see any of those middle three movies on the nomination list to actually come up from behind and steal it.
Mm-hmm. right. So, guys, we're actually going to be doing a Oscar podcast after this. If you want to join us for that, just to tease that out there, it's going to be pretty much immediately after this. But yes, Dragon, refresher, by all means.
Okay, little refresher of the rules here, because we have a new contender amongst us, but also any new friends who might be joining us in the comments, like our old friends that we just shouted out. Okay. All right, so of course we will. Of course, 3 rounds, 3 questions. Pretty straightforward. We get the main round of 3 questions. Then, after we've established the order for the evening, thanks to our handy dandy randomizer, we're going to figure out, what's the order of who goes first. This whole little fun time. The round will go as follows. Basically, the proceedings will go as follows. Each contender will reveal their pick. They will give an opening statement in which they build their case, say all the nice things about what they have, why it's the superior choice, why no one in their right minds would think otherwise, and then it's a fight to the finish. Until you hear our trusty bell here, R2D2, he's the bell, which means it's time to deliberate, which we will make a ruling based on kind of a 3-point system between Sandy, Jacob, and myself. We each go around. We each kind of say who we think gets the point, and depending who gets the most, the most points out of the 3 of us, will actually get the point that matters. That gets on the scoreboard. It's kind of a race to 5 points. At the end of 3 rounds, we get to the optional feature of our little game, the coin.
Yeah.
The way the coin works, folks, is at the end of the 3 main. Yeah.
Sorry, go ahead.
What?
Coin.
Okay, the point being, the coin works as so. If it lands heads, you could get a point. If it lands tails, you could risk losing a point. You don't have to do anything, though, because it's completely optional. Also, because we like to play dangerously, because we like to play by Vegas rules, we have hidden a secondary coin within either the 3 at the end of the 3 main rounds or the end of the of 2 speed rounds. Point being, there's a second hidden coin that will only be allotted to the winner of the round of which the coin is hidden in. So again, first to 5 points wins. By the end of everything, once we get into the speed round, do you gentlemen understand these rules as I've explained them to all of you here this fine evening?
I got it.
I'm ready. Let's do it.
Mhm.
All right, randomizer. Dragon, give me a 3, 2, 1, Dragon.
3, 2, 1. And the person going first, for a change, is not Jacob. It is Mickey Fan going first,
All right.
followed by Tiki. That could be to his detriment or his benefit, folks. Only time will tell. Let's find out. With all of that said, it's main event time. Round 1. You guys ready for the ride?
I'm ready.
Let's do it.
Okay. I'm going to give you the full wording of the question here, gentlemen. I'm not going to go, unfortunately, I don't have the charisma of Alex Trebek, but I'm going to give it my darndest. Okay. What is the best animated Disney movie of the past decade? Of course, folks, we're talking purebred Disney animated feature from the years 2010 to 2019. I believe the revival era, as some are calling it. Who has what?
All right. I have Tangled.
Mickey Fan has Tangled.
And I have Frozen, the one true Disney blockbuster of the 2010s.
Okay, opening statement. Mickey Fan.
All right. So where Tangled is superior to Frozen is that Frozen is almost an inferior copy to Tangled. Everything done in Tangled was done in Frozen, but Tangled always did it better. Rapunzel is a more interesting main character than Anna. Flynn Rider is a more captivating romantic partner than Kristoff. Pascal and Maximus are both far more interesting sidekicks than Sven and Olaf. The villain is far more interesting the animation is absolutely gorgeous in a way that Frozen just does not live up to.
Okay.
All right. Well, I think Frozen is actually an expansion on the ideas that Tangled laid out in front of itself. I think Frozen very much was following in the footsteps of Tangled, to be sure, but there's a reason that Frozen became the big cultural blockbuster milestone that it was, and Tangled is just very well respected. They're both great films. But I think Frozen, when you look back on the decade, and that's where I'm going. I'm really leaning into the decade-defining quality of Frozen here. Nothing in Disney even came close in terms of an original IP made by the company to, having the legacy of Frozen. I mean, you argue that Rapunzel is a more deep and complex character than Anna, but in Frozen, what do you want me to tell you? You have Anna and Elsa, who are both two, maybe Rapunzel is deeper than each one of them individually, but they're both quite complex characters in their own right. And we'll get into it, my friend, but besides the villain argument, which I'm just going to go ahead and strategically let you own, because, yeah, you're not wrong about that. Honestly, besides the villain argument, I think that the songs in Frozen are far better. I do think the animation in Frozen is better, and I think the side characters are arguably a little bit more likable, especially on the Olaf side of things. So let's get into it. Let's get into it.
All right.
All right, touch gloves and fight it out.
You mentioned the music in Frozen is far better, but I think it's Tangled. It is simultaneously Alan Menken's most Alan Menken score, but it is also such a unique and individual score. Like, you could line up all of his scores and you could play Tangled and I would immediately know, oh, that's Tangled. I don't think I could necessarily say that for Frozen.
Okay, score? I don't even know, because Tangled isn't memorable to me and I don't really watch it all that much, but I can tell you that the songs in Frozen kick Tangled out of the water, my friend. I mean, Let It Go is like a new It's a Small World, but it's just because it's such an empowering brainworm. It's empowering and it's a brainworm. It's an iconic piece of imagery and music put to screen. I remember seeing Let It Go for the first time in theaters in 2013 and just thinking, my God, I am bearing witness to a new iconic Disney moment. This is a whole new world. This is a new circle of life. This is a new part of their world. It's just imagery put on screen that just defines the decade of Disney in my mind. And it's a big, bold direction in which you don't need a love interest. You just need to own yourself and you need to own who you are. My problem with Tangled's music is, honestly, it's a little poppy. It's like you got Mandy Moore there as the main vocalist. So of course they're going to go the poppy direction. And there's nothing wrong with that. But I just think that Frozen songs are just so much more bombastic and epic, and at the same time, way more catchy without being just, overly radio friendly. I think there's more memorable songs in Frozen compared to Tangled.
I'll give you that Frozen has a couple more memorable songs than Tangled. Frozen also has Fixer Upper. And, that might be one of the single worst songs in the entire Disney canon. Hate to tell you, but, when I look at Tangled, I have When Will My Life Begin? And I have its reprise, and I have I See the Light, and I have I've Got a Dream. And I have all of those. I think all of those can easily match up to Let It Go, while not necessarily as inspiring as Let It Go. They're just as interesting musically. They're just as interesting lyrically. They're just as well animated. They're just all at the same level as Let It Go.
But the thing is, let there be If I See the Light. I would say, you got to agree, that's the only one that I think is even in the competition for being as iconic as Let It Go. And I will agree, there's a fight to be had there with those two. I won't even With the other songs, I won't even like touch them. I think Let It Go is far superior to the other songs. I mean, just in my honest opinion, just in terms of cultural relevance, which is honestly in a best of the decade debate, something that should be weighed in here. I feel like the difference between, Now I See the Light and Let It Go is what I just illustrated. Now I See the Light is yet another classic Disney love song, and it is brought to life very well with a very memorable set piece with the lanterns and everything, and it's nice, and it's very romantic. But Let It Go is something else, man. Let It Go is a turning point. And for better or for worse, it illustrated that Disney is not afraid to kind of break new barriers and get on board with an empowering message that isn't about romance, but it's about self-reflection and self-growth and self-empowerment. And that is where I think that we're not just going to argue Let It Go and let there be more light. We're not just going to do that. But I do think that in terms of side characters, I really don't think you can argue with Olaf. I mean, Pascal is fine. Maximus is fun. But Olaf, just on his own, I mean, not even taking into account some of the other really fun side characters in Frozen, but just Olaf on his own is just, man, I mean, and yes, I am seeing, hey there, Simba Trey, I'm seeing Frozen is overrated, and that is the argument. Frozen, I feel like the argument here is I don't necessarily think Frozen is overrated per se. I think the argument is that Frozen is it is the thing in the decade that hit the hardest. It hit like a bomb. I mean, it just culturally exploded. And I think something has to be said for that.
Well, and you mentioned Olaf, but Olaf really only came into his own in Frozen 2. The entirety of Frozen 1, he was just kind of he was basically a quip machine. He said a semi-funny one-liner that maybe landed, and you went on to the next thing, and then he said another one, and I don't have a skull or bones. That's what I remember about Olaf in Frozen 1. And just as much as some people are worth melting for, it is a great scene. That's not what I remember Olaf for in the original Frozen. I just remember him as this kind of irritating quip machine where Pascal and Maximus were, they were just so lively and so deep without even having to say a single word, which, Frozen couldn't even do that. They had to have Kristoff talk for Sven.
Yeah, I mean, but the thing with Kristoff and Sven is delightful in its own right. I mean, that's the thing. It's like you argue that the pantomime characters are a strength in Tangled, but I argue that with Frozen, the characters just get brought to life in ways that we've never seen before because, I would argue that dynamic with Kristoff and Sven, that is just so unique in its own right. And it's like it gives you a love interest that has just a really quirky character thing going on with him that is funny. It's kind of fourth wall breaking, much like a lot of Frozen, and I do think it's endearing to both Kristoff and to Sven as characters. And Sven, by the way, I mean, I do think that in terms of like the first one, yeah, Maximus probably shines a little bit more. But I do think Sven throughout the franchise has really grown on me. I mean, I think he's gotten a lot to do over the years in the shorts and in Frozen 2. And I will definitely, I have to counteract that Olaf is better in Frozen 2. I mean, Olaf has one memorable moment in Frozen 2 to me, which is the reciting the plot of the first movie, which, by the way, I still to this day will reiterate, it's kind of a ripoff of the Louise story in Ant-Man. I don't care. It's a very similar formatted joke. Whereas with Frozen, in the original Frozen, I think what was great about Olaf in the original Frozen is that he was very soft-spoken, and that was a subversion of the audience because we expected him to be very over-the-top, very like, oh, I'm Olaf. I'm going to come along on an adventure with you, Jar Jar Binks. Misa owes you a life debt. And it really wasn't like that at all. And Olaf had all the best lines, but at the same time, He was soft-spoken. He was endearing. He was a tragic character just based on the "Oh Summer," in Summer song that kind of just sets him up for a tragedy. And and that never really gets paid off in the franchise, unfortunately. But honestly, I think Frozen 2 kind of had the capacity to do that and didn't do that. It's not the original fault of the of the original Olaf that they didn't go that far with it. And honestly, I do think Hans isn't as bad of a villain as everyone says he is. I do think as the years go on, Hans has become sort of a reflection of society in its own way, and Hans represents the turning point in Disney villains, for better or for worse. But like it or not, Hans was kind of like treading new ground. And I think the scary thing with Hans is that there's a lot of guys out there that are Hans types, where it's like they get, they're charming and they use their charms and they use their looks to kind of like dig into these women. And I do think, I mean, not to get too political here, but I do think that as the decade has gone on and, the Me Too movement and everything, I do think that men like Hans exist in the real world. Women like Mother Gothel, I guess, in like a very, very like metaphorical sense exist, like abusive mothers and everything. But Hans, it's like, to me, the scary thing about Hans is that there's really nothing supernatural about him or anything. There's nothing fairy tale with him. He really is just a bad dude who's good at manipulating people, and those are the real life villains you have to look out for.
Okay, but I'm going to argue that Mother Gothel is almost the twist villain done right, because we always have that dramatic irony there of we know she is absolute trash, but Rapunzel thinks that she is her loving mother, and that seems to be the best way to do a twist villain. Because you want to be, for most of Frozen, you're kind of rooting for Hans. You're rooting for Anna to get with the guy and, get to know him a little bit better. But Mother Gothel, you do not want Rapunzel back with her. You're always rooting for Rapunzel. You're not rooting for Mother Gothel in that case. And I think that's, kind of an interesting counterpoint of, in Frozen, on first viewing, you're never really rooting for Anna. You're rooting for Hans.
I mean, I don't agree with that per se, because the whole adventure is about Anna. Midway through, she gets blasted with the frozen heart and has to go on the adventure to. I mean, with Hans, it's like, sure, he's a nice guy at first glance, and maybe you would I really don't agree with the fact that you see him as like a POV character in the movie by any stretch.
Well, and I'm that was probably poor wording on my part, but he's not necessarily a POV character. But speaking of POV characters, Anna is never really the main character of her own story in this movie. She's always being
dual protagonist.
It's always framed as Anna's story more than Anna and Elsa's story. From kind of moment one, we're following Anna, we're not following Elsa. And I think that she's always secondary in the story. She's never really taking action. She's always kind of being pulled around, where Rapunzel is, she's the one who jumps out of that window, and that amazing scene where she's combing down her hair, and she, like, even in the poster, she's hanging on to the boat mast and she's looking at the lights, and she is, of course she had a little bit of help, but she's the one going out there. She's the one being proactive. Anna is just kind of, getting pulled around. Oh, I'm going to go up and get my sister. Oh, okay, this guy's going to take me to see his family. Oh, I got to go back to the castle, get a kiss. And it's only at the end where she actually does anything, where she saves Elsa.
All right.
All right. All right.
Well, one thing for sure is that the comments are really on Tangled's side. Comments are over Frozen.
That was a really solid argument, guys.
Very good, gentlemen. All right. I definitely think this is like a really good warm-up round for the two of you, because I do feel like you guys fell into like kind of a battle of the songs towards the start of things. I'm going to say that much. You want to save it for the next round, boys. Save that for the next round. But yes, after that juncture, I feel you guys are really on point. I think things really got interesting when you were arguing plot towards the end there. And you know what? For my point, I'm going to give it to Mickey fan. I'm going to give my vote for Mickey fan. Sandy.
Well, you guys both had some really.
Oh wait! Hold on. I'm so sorry.
Yeah.
Jacob.
Oh yeah, that's right.
Sorry.
I said it. I mean, I agree. They both made very, very interesting and varied arguments. Like they basically knew how to attack each other's points back and forth very well.
Mm-hmm.
Like it was like a tennis match. I mean, it is kind of hard to say, but in all honesty, I actually think in a way that like, I think Mickey actually did make more points than Tiki did. I'll go with Mickey.
Yeah, I like what Mickey had to say about the side characters with Olaf. Really is a kind of a quick machine, isn't he? And I guess with Sven, what's the horse's name in Tangled?
Maximus.
I always thought that Sven was just a copy of Maximus, if I'm being honest, because Tangled came first, and they're both horse type. Well, one of them is a horse character, and then Sven is definitely a horse type character. And it's the same type of relationship that Flynn Rider and Blondie has with his moose or his reindeer. It's that kind of, boy and his dog, or I guess boy with his horse, or man with his horse. Just kind of goofy friendship type thing that I feel like Frozen kind of took from Tangled. I'm going a little off on that right now, but I liked Mickey fan's argument. I think he came on really strong with this, and he presented a lot of really good points. So I'm going to give it to Mickey fan as well.
Okay, so it looks like point one officially goes to Mickey fan.
Woo!
Also, I really appreciate the subjectivity in the comments here, because Simba Trey is definitely, leaning towards. He's leaning towards Tangled being the better movie, but he's saying that I made the better points. So he's saying #upset victory. But I appreciate that, Simba. I appreciate that, I know that Tangled is probably the more respected movie. Frozen, I know I was going into the challenge of it being oversaturated, but I appreciate you saying that I had stronger arguments. Thank you for that.
Tangled was also actually the first Disney animated movie of the decade, not counting Pixar.
Yes. It was. Also, yeah, just to be clear with this round, we had some people in the comments who weren't clear. This round was just Disney, not Pixar.
Yeah.
And honestly, the reason for that is because if we would have gone with Disney and Pixar, I think it would have been another an Inside Out versus Coco for the millionth time.
Yeah.
Or Toy Story 3.
Right, True. Right. So, all right, Dragon. Any further discussion here?
Yeah, that brings us. So, folks, it was a well fought round. Both arguments really solid. Let's move on. Oh, wait a minute! I'm so glad you reminded me, Tiki. I found a coin this round.
Oh no!
I found a coin, and that know what that means, folks. It's sorry. It's a token with Apparently, it's a token with no real monetary or value in regards to our competition here. Sorry, Slit. This is like the arcade token. Moving on to round two.
Wow. Wow.
Second coin isn't there yet, folks. I mean, like the bonus coin hasn't reared its head yet. Moving on to round two. Okay, round two. What is the best Disney song of the past decade? So this was all on the table, folks. Everything was on the table. I mean, animated, live action, you name it. That is a Disney song.
Pixar.
Mm-hmm.
Anything.
All
Marvel.
on the table. Yes, technically, yeah.
Wait, were there any Marvel songs this decade?
Well,
Star Spangled
yes.
Man with a
Mhm.
I guess technically that does count.
There you go. Okay.
Alan Menken yet again.
The Mank. Okay. All right, who has what? Mickey fan?
I have Show Yourself.
Frozen 2.
Yep.
And I have There's Nowhere to Go But Up from Mary Poppins Returns.
Mickey fan.
All right. So I really think that, Disney kind of hyped up Into the Unknown as the new Let It Go. This is really the new Let It Go. All the messages set up, all the journey Elsa's been on. This is where it concludes. This is where Elsa becomes just that amazing, confident, spectacular, powerful goddess that she was basically born to be. And you combine that with the animation and the imagery within and the lyrics where she's saying to that voice that's been taunting her the entire movie, come on out, I want to see what you are, but there's a bit of a double meaning in there because she's also saying, I want to talk to you, I want to see what you are as well as who you are. And then, it keeps building it on itself, just like Let It Go, where you have those two verses, that awesome bridge, and then, that epic finale. And, I just think, everything that Let It Go was, this improves on it tenfold.
All right.
Okay, so Mary Poppins Returns. I know it's not popular to like the movie. Honestly, I'm literally not even going to look in the comments here because it's just going to distract me. I know the comments are going to hate on Mary Poppins Returns. I don't care. Just hear me out. Even if you are the biggest hater in the world of Mary Poppins Returns, you got to admit one thing. The songs were amazing. I love the musical sequences in Mary Poppins Returns. Those, if anything else, redeem the movie. And honestly, I could have picked any number of songs from Mary Poppins Returns, but I decided to go with the one that to me best encapsulates the Disney spirit this decade. And I think it encapsulates the Disney spirit in a very old school, very great, big, beautiful tomorrow, very Walt style way. And that's the thing, like, Show Yourself is progressive, to be sure, but I think Nowhere to Go But Up is classic. I think Nowhere to Go But Up is incredibly uplifting. I think it's got some of the best lyrics of any Disney song while still feeling very Sherman-esque, very much rooted in classic Disney. It's a culmination for every character in Mary Poppins Returns. It's a big, sweeping moment. Much like Show Yourself draws upon Into the Unknown, this does kind of draw upon Let's Go Fly a Kite, but I feel like whereas Show Yourself is essentially a sequel to Into the Unknown, and that's where kind of my argument is going to come into play here a little bit. I feel like with Nowhere to Go But Up, it kind of takes like the general beat of Let's Go Fly a Kite, like the general like kind of framework of Let's Go Fly a Kite, and expands on it and makes it something that's just like even more soaring and heartwarming. And the visuals that accompanying it and the performances, the fact that everyone in the cast gets some kind of verse, something to do. It's just a great ensemble piece to end the movie on, and it ends on the sour note of on kind of the melancholy note of Mary Poppins flying away now that she's accomplished her task and the Banks family has once again been reunited and is together. I think it's just an absolutely beautiful song. It's hopeful, and in the words of Michael Banks, the let the past take a bow, the forever is now.
All right, boys, let's sing it out.
All right. Just to clarify, you kept on saying "Into the Unknown" when you were talking about, you know, your preliminary arguments. Did you mean "Let It Go"?
Wait, what?
When you were doing your arguments and you mentioned "Show Yourself" as a sequel to "Into the Unknown," did you mean it was for "Let It Go"?
No, I legitimately think that Show Yourself is more of a sequel to Into the Unknown than it is to Let It Go. Into the Unknown is a sequel to Let It Go. Therefore, I honestly think that with Show Yourself, I do think it has value. I do think that in terms of like the people in the comments were mentioning, like, yeah, it's a very empowering song for sure. It specifically touches on mental health issues. It's probably more broadly, it's probably more specifically empowering than the Nowhere to Go But Up. You know, it kind of targets specific demographics, but I feel like Nowhere to Go But Up is way more broad of an inspirational song. It's just the ultimate pick-me-up. And yes, Mickey fan, I do feel like the problem is that you've got Into the Unknown, which is, I do think, a sequel to Let It Go. I think that is the song in Frozen 2 that builds upon the foundation of Let It Go and build something new with it. And essentially what Show Yourself is, and I'm not saying that Show Yourself is bad by any means, it's got a lot of merit as a song. Essentially what it is it's kind of like a rework. It's kind of like it's like half reprise almost, because you do get those ahs coming in, and you know, and like I said, I do admit that my song does have the "Let's Go Fly a Kite" bridge, but I feel like your song is much more built on the on the Into the Unknown of it all. It very much feels like kind of like, okay, we're back in the third act, you know, we're gonna kind of like build on the Into the Unknown concepts, and it's cool. Like from a songwriting level, it works well, but I do think that it's not as standalone, because you really do need the other context to really build upon it. Whereas I think that my song, I have been, ever since I saw Poppins Returns, my song has kind of been on constant loop for me. It's been sort of a source of joy. I do think that it's a new kind of like Great Big Beautiful Tomorrow, or When You Wish Upon a Star, in the framework of just, you know, like I said, just those certain lines, like let the past take a bow, the forever is now. And, you know, there's a bunch of other lines in there, but just the way that it sweeps you off your feet, just visually in a literal sense of the word, it is so heartwarming and so Poppins. And that's what I love about it. I think that Mary Poppins Returns, I like, at me at the comments, I don't care. For me, that movie really, really did a great job of capturing the spirit of the character and the spirit of the world. And this song is like the ultimate culmination of that. Your song is like just kind of like a Broadway 11th hour number, a good Broadway 11th hour number. But we, you know, it's a build upon a build. And frankly, it's the third best Elsa song in the Frozen 2 soundtrack, second to Into the Unknown and the Panic at the Disco version of Into the Unknown.
Okay, well,
I just got to plug that Panic at the Disco cover some more, man. I love that cover.
It's a banger. I'm not gonna disagree with you there. It's a banger. But you know, I think that, you know, you mentioned that Nowhere to Go But Up just feels very classic, very Walt, very Sherman,
Mm-hmm.
which of course it feels Sherman. It was written by Sherman. But I feel like I've never been affected by a song as much as when I heard "Show Yourself." I don't think that I think that it was and it's probably just me, but it was an insanely personal song, and I've never seen something in any movie, let alone a Disney movie, kind of capture maybe a very important moment like that. Um, but also, I think that there's, you mentioned that, there's a great big beautiful tomorrow feel to Nowhere to Go But Up, but I think that I think that, certainly not that, but there is an intensely classic feel to Show Yourself, but, you know, Nowhere to Go But Up feels a bit regressive. Show Yourself feels very progressive, and I think that there's that one line where, during the bridge where her mother shows up in the I think it was a snowflake, and she says, "Come, my darling, homeward bound," and Elsa replies, "I am found," and that just hits you like a brick wall in the best possible way. And then they just keep on growing that and making it more epic, and saying, "Show yourself, grow yourself, make yourself new. You are the one you've been waiting for all of your life. You don't need anyone." And I think that's where Frozen itself truly shines as a franchise. You know, you can rely on yourself. You don't need a man. You don't need a woman. You can choose who you want, or you can go out on your own. And I think that's just, it's, is it perfect? I don't think the franchise is perfect, but I think that this is a near perfect song for not only Elsa, but, just in general.
All right, man, there's a lot to No.
Okay.
Whatever.
Let's go. All right.
I was politely waiting for him to finish, and then I was going to counterpoint. So whatever.
All right. Let's go to the votes here. Okay, Jacob.
Oh, this is a tough one. I mean, I'm not trying to dwell on it too much. I mean, they both raised some very excellent points.
Mickey fan wins.
What?
What is a vote? Would you?
I didn't do anything.
No, not
No,
you.
I'm just angry that I didn't get a chance to count. Like, I was sitting there politely letting him finish his point, and then...
Okay, look, let's just see where it goes. Let's see where it goes. All right, Jacob.
I mean, I think...
I'm not going to play nice next round, I'll tell you that much.
Okay, I mean, can I talk now?
Yes, Jacob, please.
Honestly, I think they both raised some very good points. I mean, I think except near the end, I think Mickey was a bit repetitive, and like all the stuff that is, and all of his. I did like the personal stuff near the end, but that's pretty much about where he branched off from what he was doing. So honestly, I think I'm gonna go with Tiki for this one.
Sandy.
Excuse me. If I'm being completely honest, I mean, I never saw Frozen 2. I know that's gotten a lot of mixed reviews. I haven't seen it. I did see Mary Poppins Returns once, and I can't remember any of the songs, if I'm being completely honest. So I don't know what either of these sound like. Just based on arguments alone, though, I really liked Tiki's. I think he presented some very good points. Just as far as originality and how they connect to the characters in the movie, and just how they don't connect to the characters in a good sense, how they benefit the story and how it kind of just provides an escape in the context of the story. I think Tiki presented that very, very well. So I'm gonna go with Tiki.
Okay, not that my vote counts here, but it was also for Tiki.
Well, shit, I feel like a jerk. I'm
Yeah,
sorry.
well, there you go. Yeah.
See, you threw a tantrum
No,
for
honestly,
If
I
I
was
were
like,
a spiteful man, I would take my point back.
no, honestly, as Mickey Fan was like, in my mind, Mickey Fan was like laying out all these like really great personal points, and I was like kind of getting intimidated, like, oh, I don't know what I'm gonna do to counteract this, like, and then when the bell rang, I was like, no, like you left me defenseless. I was like at the assembly in school, and I was in my underwear. I mean, Jesus.
Well, to quote a Christmas Story, but the bell rang.
All right. So thank you guys. I appreciate that, especially because Mary Poppins Returns is a very personal movie to me. So
In all seriousness, what hit the bell, if you're curious, was the fact that honestly, both of you guys are really on point in the openings. You both had phenomenal openings. It's just Tiki, I think he got up to a point where he best reflected the decade angle of the question, and Mickey Fandy, he argued really well for the strong themes of the song. Don't get me wrong, really strong themes of the song. But I feel Tiki kind of dinged him a few times, and Mickey Fan didn't quite recover from it towards the end there. I feel kind of the writing was on the wall there. Where again, Mickey Fan, you still keep.
I'm sorry. I'm genuinely sorry. I feel like a jerk.
Right.
Interesting round.
Now, Mickey Fan.
I'm about to tear Mystic Manor apart, but whoops.
Oh boy.
Okay, but wait, gentlemen. Let me. You know what? Just because I feel bad for the emotional strains I put certain players through. You know what? I'm gonna make a good faith effort to find that coin. I'm gonna check my Breaking Bad hiding place here. I'm gonna check behind the old light switch. Now I gotta unscrew it here. Let me look for it. I need a dime. Okay. Oh, wait a minute. This isn't a dime. It's the coin. Darn it! It's the bonus coin. All right. So,
really?
Yes, it is the bonus coin. So let's go to the coin.
Oh wow. Okay.
Which means Tiki, you have the option of whether to use the coin or not. Are you feeling lucky?
Well, are you punk?
Oh man, you know what? I feel like I genuinely I'm very proud of the way I earned that point. I kind of felt like I got some bad mojo from the way I reacted to the bell. So I'm not going to tempt fate. Okay, we're tied up 1-1. I'm gonna let things kind of stay where they are.
Okay, see, folks, it's entirely optional. Okay, let's go to round 3 then.
All right.
All right, round 3. Of course, thanks to the folks in the comments too, man. Some lively discussion.
Yeah. No, seriously, this is like one of the most active commenting sections of a video we've had in a while. I did not say that right at all, but you get what I mean.
As I mentioned, my picks I would have included. I think I would have picked "Remember Me."
Remember Me was a solid contender for me until I remembered that Mary Poppins Returns exists. I am the biggest fanboy on the internet for that movie. I don't know what to tell you. Anyways.
It's a great movie.
Thank you.
That it is.
It's not bad. It's not bad. Okay. So round 3. What is the best Disney attraction of the past decade? Okay, now there's a little proviso here I want to be made very clear of, so in case anyone's like, well, why didn't you use this one? Just so you know, everything was on the table except Rise of the Resistance. Everything but Rise of the Resistance is on the table, so we went global here. Now all the Disney parks across this grand old land of ours, of everyone's, was on the table. So let's see what we went with here. Mickey Fan.
I chose Avatar: Flight of Passage.
Flight of Passage.
And I chose Mystic Manor at Hong Kong Disneyland.
Mystic Manor.
And yeah, just to clarify, Rise of the Resistance, I'm sure is technically speaking, probably the best Disney attraction of the decade. But man, it got in with weeks to spare in terms of the decade, okay?
I have not had the chance to go on it. Tiki hasn't had the chance to go on it.
Hopefully on March 4th, crossing my fingers.
I don't
was
even know
another
when I'm
reason
going
we
to get to
didn't
go
wanna
on it.
Didn't we just talk about Flight of Passage recently?
Oh, I
Did
mean,
we?
like a
Yeah, it
different
was like
context, I'm sure.
it was like I remember what it was. It was like we're talking about like what ride would you like the best first experience or whatever.
Oh yeah,
Oh.
yeah,
Yeah,
yeah.
you go, we did the whole. It was the Christmas Carol thing, so you go back in time. And so like it was the past question. So
And
Okay, that's right.
and I chose Flight of Passage.
okay, so Mickey fan.
All right. So, Flight of Passage, while it might not be perfect, it's a pretty darn close. It is an awesome evolution of the Soren system. The picture and the animation is amazing. The feeling is so perfect, and it's so tightly coordinated to the video on the screen where it feels like you are directly there. Even you don't feel the need to look left or right to see the person next to you. You feel like you're the only person on that Banshee and you're flying around Pandora.
Okay. Tiki.
All right. So when everyone says, what's your favorite Disney attraction, the two obvious answers are always at the top of the list are going to be Pirates of the Caribbean and Haunted Mansion. I definitely considered having the Shanghai Pirates of the Caribbean as my answer here, but the reason I went with Mystic Manor is because Mystic Manor to me is by far the best and biggest and most elaborate and most ambitious non-IP attraction to come out in the 2010s. And what I love about Mystic Manor is the potential and the possibility that it reflects in the Imagineers, that the Imagineers can still tell really compelling, original storylines with charming characters. I honestly feel like Henry Mystic and Albert the Monkey are so damn charming and likable and animated that they're almost like a new Figment and Dreamfinder. I mean, I can't even tell you how charmed I am that this attraction gave birth to two, in my opinion, instantly iconic theme park characters that we've never seen before. Now, one could argue that Mystic Manor is, it's like a plus of the Haunted Mansion. But I would argue that Mystic Manor, yes, while it is a dark ride through a weird house, the plot line just, there are some homages to Haunted Mansion, certainly. But at this point, what Disney attraction are there not homages to other Disney attractions? But I feel like the way that Mystic Manor was able to adapt the Haunted Mansion sensibilities to a Chinese audience and have it be much more about the inanimate objects coming to life and kind of the Jacques Cousteau of it all, sort of the architecture and everything like that, and the curse of the mansion. And not only that, but I love how Mystic Manor is, like, to me, the big anchor in terms of a sea-focused story. Sea as in the Society of Explorers and Adventurers. Like, this to me is like the most ambitious sea story that we've ever seen in a Disney park. It's to me like the prototype for Rise of the Resistance as far as, just a really elaborate trackless ride. I think it beats the crap out of Ratatouille in terms of a trackless dark ride. I would say that it's on par with Pooh's Honey Hunt, but Pooh's Honey Hunt was a game changer and it didn't come out in this decade. So, I'm not going to talk about Pooh's Honey Hunt here. But just architecturally speaking, storyline, character, song, it's all there. Like, Mystic Manor has all the makings of a classic original Disney experience with no IP baggage attached to it at all.
Well, funny that you mention IP baggage because, I think that, where where Flight of Passage really shines is that it overcomes its baggage. You do not have to see Avatar to understand a lick of Pandora as a whole. And even this, they explain every single thing you need to know as if it is a wholly new original concept. And they probably do it better than the movie. I don't remember the movie. Probably says a lot about the movie. But I remember Flight of Passage. I remember that just awesome ending scene, looking out over the ocean with that giant whale thing, and I think that, that's kind of the true essence of the parks in the 2010s and moving towards the future is getting into these really immersive worlds. And, much as I hate to say it, the IP free stuff is out the door.
No, heresy.
I hate to say it, but it's, with our current, with the current management,
Tokyo Disney Sea. Tokyo Disney Sea. Still the crown jewel of Disney parks, still mostly non-IP based.
Yes, but you know what? The majority of editions this decade, IP editions.
All right. Well, you know what? I have a couple arguments against Flight of Passage. Flight of Passage is a great experience, to be sure, but my two big issues with Flight of Passage are rewritability and the pre-show. Let's talk about the more controversial one, which is rewritability. Now, I got the chance to do this thing about 5 times on my solo Disney trip last year, and I got to tell you that by ride number 5 on it, I was at the point where I was like, yeah, this is a better Soarin'. And there's nothing wrong with that. I mean, I Soarin's a great system. This is a better version of Soarin'. But to me, I don't necessarily think the wow factor is at play as much. And honestly, I think Soarin' has a little bit more wow factor with the mechanism, just in the way that you have the way that Soarin', physically raises you up. I feel like by the time that you're used to the way that Flight of Passage moves, you're used to the ride system, you're used to being pushed out into the main screen at the beginning. By the time that's all routine to you, what you're left with is a great simulator. But what you're left with in Mystic Manor is just a huge physical space with a completely new character that's drawing upon a classic attraction while at the same time doing its own thing and doing it with innovative technology and innovative storytelling. And, you're building these characters and you're building this world and you're building the society of explorers and adventurers. Flight of Passage, even from the first time I walked off of it, I was like, yeah, that's a really, really great simulator, but I wouldn't call it better than, let's say like Indiana Jones Adventure. Like, I think that there's something to be said for physical tangibility. And I do think the future of theme parks does rely on a mix of both. And with Flight of Passage, I don't necessarily think that Flight of Passage has a great mix of both, especially in the actual ride itself. Now, I will say that the pre-show for Flight of Passage is atrocious, honestly. Like, the queue has good parts to it, don't get me wrong. I love the lab, I love the bioluminescent forest, sure. I am not a fan of how many videos you have to watch explaining the story over and over and over. It's like you have to watch, for my count, at least 3, maybe 4 videos, all explaining the whole, like, all right, you're going to get on top of a banshee, you're going to be linked to the avatar. Man, I just think that the actual, and I get why they have to have it, because you have to kind of like cycle the boarding, you have to kind of stack the boarding. But man, I wish that there was a little bit more to the pre-show than just like, all right, I'm Sigourney Weaver, but I'm not playing the role of Sigourney Weaver in the Avatar movie. I'm a different Sigourney Weaver. It's all weird and off-putting. You got that guy with the beard, and he's not very charismatic. Mystic Manor is just a perfectly tight experience from beginning to end.
You mentioned Flight of Passage's extensive pre-show, but doesn't Mystic Manor have something like a 7 or 8 minute pre-show explaining the story?
it does have a good solid pre-show, but the thing about that is that it's all in one go. It's like I feel like with Flight of Passage, you get shuffled around from room to room to look at these small screens with these uncharismatic people explaining the ride system over and over again. With Mystic Manor, I think the pre-show is kind of like, it's kind of like how the pre-show functioned with Rise of the Resistance, albeit on a smaller scale, because like I said, it is kind of like a proto Rise of the Resistance. But, you have these pre-show scenes going on around you before you even enter the ride, and it brings you into the story. Whereas with Flight of Passage, like I said, I think with Flight of Passage, the pre-show stuff is way more obviously like, okay, we're in the second to last boarding area before we get on the ride. Now we're about to get on the ride. It's all very stacked. It's all very unified, if you will.
I'll give you that, but I like that the scientist guy is a little bit uncharismatic. It feels, it just feels that little bit much more, like, oh, this is a big tourist attraction kind of thing. This is, oh, I'm going to be linked up to this weird alien mannequin thing and get to fly around with the natives of this planet. I like that. It's that kind of level of immersive that you don't really think about, but I think it helps. I think if it was just like this studly guy pretending to be a scientist, super charismatic, oh, you're about to go out and fly. I like the ums and ahs and the filler words. It makes it just kind of makes it feel a bit more natural.
I mean, fair point, but it draws it out, and it's like, I can't say in all good faith that bearded scientist guy is more charismatic or a better Disney character than Lord Henry Mystic, my friend.
Yeah, but
Okay. Sandy.
Wow, this was definitely, I was hoping this was going to be really, really interesting, and I wasn't disappointing at all. I think both these rides are both really fascinating, and I'm glad we have we have a really solid a screen theme centered ride, and I'm glad we have a really great practical illusion ride. Because I think the latter is kind of struggling to stay up and about with all of this new screen technology, 3D stuff. You both gave really great arguments for these rides. Tiki, I think I would have liked to hear a little more. About the just the practicality of your ride, because you had some really, you did touch on it, but I think you could have elaborated on it a little bit more, just because that is something big that it has over Flight of Passage, where Flight of Passage is all just screens, and three-dimensional imagery, but you have something that's actually practical. It's right there in front of you. It's something you can go on. You can see the minuscule details and all the moving suits of armor and all the different mystic stuff that comes to life around the house. And I think it's one thing that really makes rides like that really shine. I think I'm gonna. Jacob, what do you think? I'm having some trouble here.
No. That's not how it works, Sam. You give your vote, then I do mine, and it all lands on Jacob's shoulders, depending on how I vote.
Okay. All right. Well, gonna have to go with. Is it hot in here? Or is it just me?
Oh,
Gosh darn it! I'm gonna have to go with Mickey.
before the
Fan,
Oscars, Sandy. Before the Oscars, come on.
Yeah, Mickey Fan. I think. Yeah.
Okay, Mickey fan. My vote is for Tiki.
Okay.
Basically, okay. So I'll keep it simple. We'll thrust all of it onto Jacob's shoulders right now. Jacob.
Long story short, I'm voting for Mickey.
Okay.
Okay.
Nice.
Mickey fan. Okay, so Mickey fan gets the point. Right now it's 2-1, and we're at the end of 3 rounds, which means it's time for the official coin. So, guys, Mickey fan, do you feel lucky? Would you like to flip for it? Again, lands heads, you can gain a point. Lands tails, you can lose a point. It's all on you. You don't have to do it, though. It's your call.
Oh, this is. I'm feeling lucky.
All right.
Okay, let's flip. Ooh, back to 1-1. Or is it, Tiki?
You know what? Let's keep it that way. Let's keep it 1-1. Let's do a long speed round.
Okay.
Well, I mean, if you get tails, it'll be even longer.
Yeah, fair point. Fair point.
All right.
All right.
Okay. All right, on to the speed round. Of course, the way speed round works, folks, again, we're still racing to get the 5 points here. Buckle up, folks, because now we enter the real determination of the decade.
Oh, boy. This
So
is what separates the men from the boys here, Mickey fan.
Yeah. So either 30. So basically, you start with a 30-second opener. Basically, you know, get whatever points you want to get in there. It doesn't exclusively have to be. Usually, it's your opening kind of 30 seconds, followed by a 15-second rebuttal after you go back and forth with your opponent. As in, you do 30 seconds, he does 30 seconds, but whoever speaks first goes first. You get it.
Yep.
Okay. All right. Now I might defer. Of course, folks in the comments, you have a lot of power in this round. You could call the rounds. If we turn it over to you guys, you could call the rounds. You could decide who wins, who gets the point, man. It could all hinge on you. It might. But listen, here's
All right.
Okay. I'm talking
Is this
to
all
you,
going to be
Cody.
Death of the Decade Dragon, or is it going to be more loosely themed?
It's a little of everything. It's a little bit of both.
It's a little everything. Okay.
There's a little
okay.
decade. There's some decade in there. Some 2019 in there. There's a little bit of the future. I think it's pretty much like now going forward. I don't know. It's a little bit of everything. Okay. And of course, I might defer to my judges to mix it up a little bit here, but they have no idea. Okay. All right. Let's see. Okay. For the WDW crowd, if they are watching, let's throw this one out.
Okay.
Okay. What is the worst Disney attraction to get stuck on?
Oh.
It's a small world.
To be clear, it's just Disney World, right?
I mean, it could be anything. Just, a Disney attraction. Could be any.
Well, Tiki, we know it's not Indiana Jones.
I'm gonna go Mission Space.
Right now, Mickey fan, did you say it's a small world?
I did.
Out the gate? Okay, I just want to make sure. So Mickey fan's going first with a small world. Okay.
All right.
And Tiki, you have
Mission Space.
Okay, now before we go forward, judges, Sandy.
Oh, no.
Should I make this round more interesting, or should we keep it as is?
I think we should make it more interesting.
Okay, let's make it more interesting. I call this a switcheroo round. So now you guys are going to argue
Making a
in
nice
this.
long run. We can make it a little interesting for them.
All right, so here's what we're going to do. So Mickey fan is going to be arguing Mission Space,
Oh God.
and Tiki's going to be arguing Small World.
Okay.
Does that mean does Mickey still have to go first?
Yeah, Mickey still has to go first.
All right, you're gonna have to give me a couple seconds to figure this out.
Okay, whenever you start talking, the clock starts. Okay, so just take your time.
I don't even know if I'm familiar with Mission Space.
All right. So depending on what side of Mission Space you end up on, like if you're ending up on that super intense side, you can be stuck upside down in a giant gyroscope. I don't know what you feel like, but if I'm stuck upside down in a giant gyroscope in a super small enclosed space with, what could be 3 other strangers, I ain't gonna have a good time. And I don't know how long it takes to evacuate that ride.
So I love It's a Small World, and even I wouldn't want to be stuck on it, and I have been stuck on it by way of like boats stacking up, and I've been stuck in that like last room before, and it is not fun. What I hate about it personally as a Small World fan is the fact that it does kind of like get you on the same level as the people that do hate the ride. It's like, oh god, this song and these dolls are all so repetitive in their movements. I mean, it gets under your skin in such a bad way. I can't imagine what someone who hates Small World in the first place would think.
Funny thing about Small World is you'll at least have a little bit of room to move around, stretch your legs a bit. When you're on Mission Space, you got nothing. You got the shoulder restraints. If you're a big shouldered guy like I am, you gotta scrunch together. It ain't fun.
Small World at Disneyland would be a little bit better to be stuck on because there's walkways all around you, but at Disney World, it's all flooded. Mission Space, I'm sure if that ever breaks down, it'd be an issue of just like, okay, we have an emergency function to open the door, emergency open. I think it'd be less of a big deal.
Okay, let me see if our commenters have any. All right. Okay, let's. Hey, judges, what do you think of this one, feedback-wise?
I said I'm not honestly not too familiar with Mission Space, but the way he described it would sound terrifying to be stuck on.
Yeah.
Honestly, being stuck on Small World is terrifying in a completely different manner.
I'd rather be stuck on Mission Space. I'm gonna give it to Mickey Fan just because he made it sound very claustrophobic and very just uncomfortable. And if you're gonna be stuck on a ride and it's really gonna be bad, and that's what it'd be like. Because Small World. I mean, you've got space. You can. It's annoying if the song keeps going, but it's not like claustrophobic, like a feeling of dread.
Okay, point goes Mickey Fan.
All right.
Right now, Mickey Fan, it's 2-1 in Mickey Fan's favor.
He's recovered his point.
That he has. Okay. All right, let's see. Okay, here's one. Here's a doozy. Okay. Okay, best of the Disney Billion Dollar Club of 2019. So Disney made a lot of money last year. So you have 7 movies to pick from. 7 movies that grossed over $1 billion. And I have the list in case you can't think of it. But again, it's 7 movies. So let's see if you guys can leave it on your own.
Endgame.
Tiki's going with Endgame.
I'll do Frozen 2.
All right.
All right. Okay. So Endgame was just this giant climactic just celebration of all things filmmaking and everything that led up to it. It's a movie that pleases fanboys as much as it's just a ride for people just getting into the medium of comic book movies. Whereas Frozen 2, to me, I feel like is a very divisive movie. Like, Dragon and I both don't like it as much as the first movie. Other people love it. I think with Endgame, you'd be hard-pressed to find a person who doesn't at least really like it.
All right. Frozen 2 just completely improves on everything that the original Frozen did, and it did it better. Olaf is a far better and far funnier character. Anna and Elsa are both far deeper and more interesting. Kristoff goes from a complete non-entity to being one of the single best Disney romantic partners ever. The music's better, the animation's better. Everything about it is just a complete improvement on the original.
I mean, Endgame is the culmination, man. So in turn, like there is nothing like it in terms of the MCU. And with Frozen 2, I mean, I think there's a lot of arguments to be made. I think the songs are better in the original Frozen. I could go down the list. I think besides the animation, it's all very subjective. What's better between the first and the second?
See, the funny thing about Endgame is that it's a great movie on its own, but as the culmination and the finale of the Infinity Saga, it kind of sucks. It kind of just, gives every character there the middle finger, essentially.
Jacob, how do you feel about that one?
I'm sure Dragon has some strong feelings about that.
Yeah, I could just tell by his brief wheeze when he was talking to me.
It's not about how we feel, Jacob. How did you feel about Pharrell?
I mean, controversial statements aside, I honestly think that Tiki did make more personal arguments, like why the film was overall better. It's like I think Mickey focused on like it's better, like it does everything better than the original. Was like not how it's a good movie on its own to begin with. Whereas Tiki, like he focused on like how it's like a celebration and a celebration and a culmination. So I think actually Tiki won this one.
Sanders.
Yeah, I'm gonna give it to Tiki. Yeah, for the same reasons Jacob stated.
Yeah, I'm gonna go with the consensus just for brevity's sake. Let's just.
Oh yeah, sure.
Okay, so it's 2-2 right now.
And there's one thing you should know: it's you never disrespect the cap.
Okay, no, I'm not. Look,
God,
let's not float around any impropriety around here. Okay, seriously. I mean, I do agree with the sentiments, you guys. I think we're all
right.
Okay.
2-2.
Yes. Okay. So we're still pretty deadlocked. Okay. Okay. Here's a question for you. Which Star Wars character should get a Disney Plus series next? Obviously, not counting Obi-Wan Kenobi or The Mandalorian. Obviously, those two notwithstanding. Which character should get the next Disney Plus series?
Rose Tycho.
Okay.
Jar Jar fucking Binks.
I had a feeling you were going to pick him. I really did.
Rose Tico versus Jar Jar.
You know, the most hated character from the prequels versus the most hated character from the sequels.
Rosie and the Pickles. Okay.
Okay.
What are we talking about?
Yeah, it's like I'm thinking of the old the dumb your mama joke with Jar Jar. Your mother's so dumb she asked for Jar Jar pickles.
All right.
Dumb. It's a robot jet there. It doesn't matter. Okay. All right. Anyway.
All right. Rose Tico as a character is a near blank slate. Rian Johnson set her up really well in The Last Jedi. She got done real dirty in Rise of Skywalker, but she's the prime candidate for sort of lower decks look at the Star Wars universe to see what the average Joe kind of thinks of what else going on in the galaxy. And you know what? I want to go on fun, nerdy space adventures with Rose Tico.
In drama, one of the biggest tropes that's filled with the most pathos is the tragic clown. And that's what I want to explore with an older, hardened Jar Jar Binks, who's basically had to play court jester to the Empire all these years. What if Jar Jar Binks survived the entire galactic civil war and then in the time of the Mandalorian has to go out on his own after basically being a fool of the Empire?
You make a good point, but you can kind of make a similar argument with Rose of she's kind of a clown in the fandom, and I want to see her be interesting for once, not be shafted to the side.
Jar Jar would be a completely out of left field pick, and the prequels are gaining a lot of momentum in terms of fandom. People want to see this character redeemed. The actor who played Jar Jar needs a redemption story. He needs to be brought back to the forefront after his tragic circumstances.
Gentlemen, thoughts?
Well, in terms of who I'd like to see, I'd honestly rather see Rose more. But in terms of argument, even though he's made this tired argument,
I have made this argument before. Yes,
emphasis on the tired part. I had to go with the strength of argument with Tiki on this one.
Hey, it's a tried and true argument, man. I think an old hardened Jar Jar Binks show would be amazing.
Let's go to the
Old man Jar Jar.
Let's go to the enemy of Anakin Skywalker here, Sans.
Sans.
Yeah, I can defend the Empire single-handedly.
I know. Good.
You're coursing. You get everywhere.
Dump some sand in Darth Vader's suit, and he's finished.
You freak me. Get it in the breathing tube. He's dead. Right. No, but seriously, Sandy, what do you think?
An old hardened Jar Jar Binks show. I'm just, they made Robot Chicken. They did some Jar Jar stuff that was really funny. I think if they did something like that, where they just totally mocked the character, but it wasn't kind of like really obvious mockery. It was kind of just, you know what I mean?
Right. So
I think that'd be funny.
I'm pretty much of the same mindset you guys. I think Jar Jar kind of stole this round. I think
Yeah,
I think it's the Rose idea. That again, the Rose premise was well established. I want
Can
to
we
make
fact
that
check?
clear.
I'm pretty sure that there's actually a Rose show that's already in development.
But what I understand,
well, there's a Rose comic. I know that much. There's like.
Well, I understand it's like something like I think the person who made Crazy Rich Asians or something like that wants to do a series based on Rose.
Okay.
It's like I don't think it's entered development yet, but he's expressed interest.
There's at least
it's like kind of rumors and talk. I don't think there's anything official.
And thus we present the first time the old Jar Jar argument actually worked in Tiki's favor.
Yeah. So it's 3-2 right now. 3 in Tiki's favor. Let's see. Okay, let me throw you a softball, guys. It's been a hard round. Let me throw you a softball. Let's see how softball it becomes. Okay, so best Pixar film of the decade.
Oh.
Coco.
But hold on a second. Sandy.
Yes.
Oh wait, no, not Sandy. Jacob. Should we make this a little tricky?
Oh God.
Yeah, sure, make it tricky.
Okay. All right. Okay, let's see. We're going to. Okay, we're gonna have the other players pitch so Tiki, you spoke first.
Yes.
You spoke first, and you won last round. So I'm going to give it to Mickey Fan. You get to decide what Tiki's best Pixar film of the decade is.
Oh my God.
Decide his fate. Brave was pretty good.
Or Incredibles 2.
Oh.
Don't give me Incredibles. I'd rather have Brave than Incredibles.
I don't know. Let's
Don't
see
give
how.
me
Let's see how.
Incredibles 2.
Let's give him Incredibles 2.
I am not drinking any fucking Merlot.
Okay, what'll be Mickey Fan? What do you want to give your sworn enemy this round?
Yeah, let's give him Incredibles 2.
Oh my
Okay.
God. Oh.
Okay, now Tiki, don't. Now, Tiki, what do you want to give Mickey Fan?
What do I want to give Mickey Fan? Okay. I want to give Mickey Fan fucking Cars 2. I'm going to play dirty. Okay. I'm going to play dirty 2. Cars 2 versus Incredibles 2.
Cars 2 it is. It's a battle of the twos, folks. Right. Okay, Tiki, you get to go first. Whenever you're ready.
Okay. Incredibles 2 is a phenomenal Pixar sequel. It opens right where the first one left off. We jump right into the action. The graphics are amazing. The action choreography is incredible. I feel like the fact that we mirror Bob and Helen's story from the original movie is a fucking stroke of storytelling genius. You really get to see all the sides of the family. Jack versus the raccoon might be the best Disney sequence of the decade. I love it.
All right. And you give me Cars 2?
Yes.
Yes.
All right. So Cars 2 is a really interesting look at the universe of Cars through the eyes of Mater, who, you know, to be fair, is not the sharpest tool in the drawer. But you know, we get to look a bit deeper. We get to go outside of Radiator Springs. We get to explore this world a bit more, and we get to see what different cultures are like in this world where cars are humans, basically.
The world of Cars is unsettling and uncanny, and I really don't want to explore it in Cars 2. Just like it raises more questions than it answers. Whereas I feel like Incredibles 2 is just the sequel that everyone was asking for. It's a perfect standalone sequel.
You know, where Incredibles 2 kind of fails is that it just doesn't expand its world big enough. It doesn't go into, what it kind of wants to talk about enough. You know, it's kind of a bare bones in terms of its world. And, Cars 2 just really expands its world and makes it somewhat interesting.
Come on. Sorry.
There you go.
This is actually quite an interesting round.
It is.
Seeing the one that obviously both have strong, Tiki definitely has strong feelings against Incredibles 2, and then obviously Cars 2 being their reverse reviewed film is definitely quite an interesting dynamic to go upon.
You know, I'm getting the sense that Tiki was not thoroughly convinced in his argument, so I'm going to give it to Mickey Fan.
Oh my god, that's not fair. I called Incredibles 2 creatively bankrupt from D23, and I stand by it.
Oh, that is not fair. You flip-flopped on that so much. You said it, then you went back on it.
And honestly, I think in terms of arguments alone, I think that Mickey did make a better argument.
Fair enough.
All right, catch me if you can. I concur.
So we're at 3-3 now.
It's 3-3, yeah.
Okay. All right. Let's do it. Come on.
Okay.
Chop.
Okay. In light of the recent news, who should direct Doctor Strange, Multiverse of Madness? Who should direct Doctor Strange 2 now that Scott Derrickson is bowed out?
Bong Joon-ho.
Okay, Tiki's got Bong Joon-ho.
I'm gonna go a little out of the box and say Greta Gerwig.
Okay, Greta Gerwig.
both with nods at Oscars this year.
Little Women in Parasite. Let's see it on the board. Okay.
All right. Bong Joon-ho is an absolute visionary of a filmmaker, and he has made movies within the American system before that have been great hits, great fan favorites, like Snowpiercer, with Chris Evans, I might add. He's familiar with working with people inside of the MCU. But in all seriousness, I think if any filmmaker working today, besides Guillermo del Toro, who's not going to do it, could step up to the task and really deliver a unique, auteur MCU movie, it would be Bong Joon-ho.
I think the most less talked about part of Doctor Strange is that, it's not really going to be a Doctor Strange movie. It's going to be a Scarlet Witch movie, and to have someone who understands and can kind of capture the female point of view. especially for someone like Wanda Maximoff, I think that there is no better choice than Greta Gerwig to cover such a fascinating and interesting character who hasn't been covered before.
All right, hot take here. I wasn't crazy about Lady Bird. I thought it was good, but I don't think it was like some visionary masterpiece by any means. I haven't seen Little Women, but by all intents and purposes, it seems like a very good adaptation of a story that's been adapted many times before. She doesn't seem to have a voice of her own.
You know, I haven't had the privilege of seeing many of Bong Joon-ho's movies, but you know, I think that, you know, if we can shift Doctor Strange to be a Scarlet Witch movie, like it's kind of being set up to be, especially with WandaVision, I think it could be genuinely spectacular.
All right, guys, thoughts?
I'm honestly not very familiar with either of the other filmmakers' works. So I'm going to have to go based on the strength of arguments here.
Both of which were very good.
Yes. I mean, both raised pretty good points. I think Bong Joon-ho would definitely be an interesting and more diverse pick than Greta Gerwig would. So, but based on the strength of arguments, and I'm kind of having a tough one here.
Okay, you know what? I feel Greta Gerwig was a really great out there pitch, but I got to tell you, Bong Joon-ho is a phenomenal pitch. And he also, again, he has the credentials. He got the bona fide. I'm going to go Bong Joon-ho, which means I'm voting Tiki. Because Tiki gets the point.
All right. Okay, so Mickey fan, I actually want you to kind of take a look at some of these questions that Claude's been sending in and see if there's one that strikes your interest at all, because Claude's been sending in a lot of questions, and I think we should do at least one of them.
Oh yeah.
Yes.
And it's 3-3 now, right, Dragon?
Well, no, Tiki, you have 4. He has 3. If you get this next one, you win.
Gotcha.
Mickey fan gets it then.
So yeah, we should definitely do at least one Claude question here.
All right. Yes.
Let's go with that Easter Bunny one.
Okay. Oh God. Okay.
Who should voice the Easter Bunny in DuckTales if they ever make an Easter episode?
All right, this one's for you, Claude.
I remember for the Christmas one we did, who should voice like either Santa Claus or Saint Nick or Mrs. Claus.
All right.
A
little early for the Easter Bunny, but let's go with it, man. Let's be loosey-goosey. Okay,
I'm going to go with Wayne Knight.
Hey, Tiki's got Newman.
And Al. Yeah.
I am going to go with Terry Crews.
You know who I'd pick?
Ooh, Terry! Oh, no, I love both of these choices, man.
What about Christopher Walken?
Well,
It's a little late for it now.
He'd just be playing Christopher Walken. Hey, I'm the Easter Bunny. I
like eggs. A lot.
Once I hit an egg up my ass.
Okay, now we're just taking. We were just talking about eggs. You made a Richard Gere level.
I'd love to have Wayne Knight and Terry Crews in something together.
Okay. Back. Let's focus here. Okay, Tiki, whenever you're ready.
I feel like Wayne Knight as the Easter Bunny would be like an Easter Bunny who's still got like a heart to him, but he's a little bit fed up with his job, but he still wants to do his job well. You know, he's a little bit overweight from the chocolates and the snacks, but he's self-conscious about it. So at the end of the day, it would be a positive body image story. And I feel like his voice is great for that kind of mix of like snide, sarcastic comedy with a bit of self-reflection in it.
You know, with this being an Easter episode, I think that there would be, one, you would be able to afford a bigger name, but also, you would be able to have a bit more fun. You would be able to have Huey, Dewey, and Louie, and Scrooge, and Webby, and all of them just go on a wacky adventure with the Easter Bunny. And I think that there would be nothing more fitting for that than Buff Easter Bunny with Terry Crews in full Old Spice Sky mode, just going at it.
Oh God.
Okay, my problem with Terry Crews is that he's basically just like, hey, I'm Terry Crews. I'm a badass Easter Bunny. My pitch with Wayne Knight is like I'm using Wayne Knight's skills and I'm pitching them to an interpretation of the Easter Bunny. We've seen Badass Santa. We've certainly seen Badass Easter Bunny before. My pitch is original.
Not really.
Just because I order the same thing every time at a certain restaurant doesn't mean it doesn't change how good it is. So, you know what? I think, having silly badass Easter Bunny, awesome. And it fits DuckTales almost perfectly.
I'm going to go to the DuckTales expert on this one. Jacob, you get to call this round, man. Who you liking?
Both are actually interesting picks. I think in the terms of the show's writing style, then I think actually Mickey made a good point that would actually kind of fit with the show's overall style better. So I'm going to actually go with Terry Crews on this one.
Okay. So Mickey. Okay, it's still tied up. So literally the next point wins.
I really like the point. Is just like he's like, yes, Tiki did make the point that his is more original, but like I like this. I like the counterpoint. Like just because mine's be done doesn't mean it's not any less good.
So what do you think? Should we go to another Claude Karinga question, or should we use a topical question as like the last one?
Well, Mickey fan, are there any more Claude questions that are jumping out to you?
Yeah, I'm sorry, Claude. Nothing sticking out to me. What about you, Tiki?
I'm thinking, if anything, maybe what Disney movie should get a sequel, but no, I think we should adhere to Dragon. Dragon should have the final ruling on this.
Okay, let's go topical then.
Cool.
All right.
The Lizzie McGuire question would be kind of fun, given as though I assume that me and Claude know next to nothing about Lizzie McGuire.
Well, actually, we got a question from Space Mountain here. You guys think we should do it?
Oh, wait, where's this question from Space Mountain? I'm not seeing it.
Right at the bottom.
It just came in. Which Pixar film should get a sequel in the 2020s that hasn't gotten one yet?
Oh.
Okay, yeah, I'd go with that.
All right, let's pull them up on the screen. There we go.
I think he means like I think what it means is like a movie in their entire library that has not gotten a sequel at all.
Yes.
Yeah, that's definitely what he means.
Yeah, I'm gonna go with Inside Out.
Okay.
Oh man, you had to go with the good one. Oh, racking my brain.
Right.
Can I go with a movie that has not been released yet?
No.
So I can't go with Onward?
No.
I mean, we don't even know how that ends
I
yet.
haven't seen it yet.
I know. I just think it has a lot of potential with world building.
Of course it does.
All right. Yeah. You know what? I'm going to champion Claude Karinga here because it is my favorite Pixar movie. I don't necessarily know if it needs a sequel, but I'm going to try my best. It does have a good world to explore. I'm going to go with Coco.
Okay, Coco too.
So at the end of the day, it comes down to Coco and Inside Out, just like
Son
God
of a-
intended it.
Oh man, I just now realized it. Dang it! At least it's the sequels this time. All right.
I think Brave also would have has good potential for a sequel, like to improve.
I would have been really impressed if Tiki had said Bug's Life too. I would have really respected maybe going that route.
Dragon, what's the lifespan of those bugs, for God's sake?
Well, you guys like The Incredibles. We went back right to the moment. They can do that now.
We went 6 months with The Incredibles.
All right.
Yeah.
I mean, it was teased all the way back in Toy Story 2.
Yeah. Right.
Okay.
All right. So a sequel to Inside Out, it was already set up with a sequel in mind at the very end. They hit that puberty button. They decide it's time for Riley to grow up. Where last time we kind of followed Joy and Sadness a bit more, this time we get to follow Riley a bit more. We get to have her, figuring life out and seeing her grow up and seeing her explore this brand new world that's opening up to her. And I think that would be a really interesting thing to see in a Pixar movie.
Coco as a universe is filled with endless potential and endless characters. You don't need to keep following the same family. My pitch for a Coco sequel would be to simply have an entirely new set of characters, an entirely new family, different family dynamics. I don't even know what they would be yet, but I think the potential is limitless. I think that World of the Dead is a great setting to set it in. You can do a lot with it.
It's kind of easy to say just follow a new family, but the title is the name of basically the Lynch point character. How do you establish that would be a sequel? Inside Out, you following a little girl through her life.
I think you really just shift the focus to Riley, then it becomes a different movie. It almost becomes like a spinoff. Like you really need the emotions in there. And I'm not saying that they wouldn't be in there, but I'm saying that would be a dramatic change of pace.
All right, gentlemen, thoughts? Tiki, go back to the main image too, by the way.
Sandy?
My consensus is ham sandwich, extra Swiss. I really don't have I don't have an opinion really. What do you think, Jacob?
I'm trying to I mean, both of them, I'd like to see both of these worlds expanded. I mean, they both raised really good points, but I think Tiki did bring a point in the end, like it would be kind of like a different movie. We just focus on Riley, take the emotions out of the question. And that the world of Coco actually does have some untapped potential, like the wide expanse that the world has.
The thing is, I personally, I wouldn't really want to explore either of the worlds. That's just me.
Yeah.
I mean, I wouldn't really want to explore inside of like someone's mind.
That's the thing. Both of them like to have such finality to them that I think it'd be kind of weird to explore them in other territories.
I mean, exactly, because you know exactly what you're going to get. You're going to get some kind of, mild zaniness and craziness with, someone's emotions, and you're going to get just more dead stuff if you go the other way.
Okay, here's the ruling, guys. Here's where we're going with. All right, so I got to tell you, again, it was really well established on both sides here, but I tell you the point that really won me over was from Mickey Fan. He made an excellent point I didn't really consider, where the problematic sequel titles, and Coco 2. You basically in a franchise that's built I can't say franchise in the loose sense, mind you, because again, it's kind of not intended of a franchise, where you have Coco, where it's predicated on the big Coco Remember Me connect, and if you did another one in that, it's it was a good point that story really is about that family. So I'm gonna rule in Mickey Fan's favor. Which means Mickey Fan won.
Woo!
The challenger has defeated the champion.
Yeah, it's like Rocky 2 in here, man. It's not Rocky 1 at all.
I did not see this coming.
Way to go, Mickey.
Here he is, Mr. Champion.
Nice.
I didn't. I
It
did
would
not
actually
see
be kind of
that
interesting.
coming.
It'd be kind of interesting to see Pixar take on a boxing movie.
Oh, that'd be great.
That kangaroos.
Well.
Nice.
So, Mickey Van, now you've won. What are you gonna do?
That's a good question.
I think the right answer is I'm going to Disneyland, but okay.
I mean,
Joe,
I mean,
think
I
we've all had
actually
a
am going
great-
down to
yeah.
Disney World in a couple days, but
There you go.
there it is.
You're going to be there at the same time Joker's Wild is going to be there potentially.
no, I'm not. I'm only going down for the day.
Oh, okay. All right. So thanks so much for all the commenters here. Clackringa, Space Mountain, Pink Pearl, Donovan, Simba Trey. We got Simba Trey in the house. This was a great live stream, folks. If you want to continue the conversation in regards to the Academy Award nominations, we're going to be doing a show coming right up for you in just the next 10 minutes or so. So go ahead and jump on board for that. I've already got the link up on the channel and everything. And in the meantime, Dragon, take us out.
Well, folks, thank you so much for joining us as in this fighting family that we've formed. Until next time, when we enter the ring yet again for Disney Debates Live.